Really pissed me off was when the trash talking wasn't affecting him. So now you spending all this energy trying to rile this up. You done forgot about your own game. You forgot about that they coming to you that you're supposed to. And then that's when I actually quit talking trash to Timmy because he wouldn't respond or he wasn't giving me the reaction I was getting.
Kevin Garnett, the big ticket. One of the best power forwards in NBA history. Champion, MVP, and a legend. He's also one of the worst trash talkers ever to lace his sneakers up and step on the hardwood floor. KG made his name in the league shouting, cursing, and getting a reaction out of even the calmest players. While he talked smack to every single person he went against, there were some players he actively disliked. Now, Kevin Garnett reveals 7 players he hated the most. We're starting things off with KG's biggest rival at the power forward position, the Spurs legend, Tim Duncan. KG and Timmy entered the league around the same time and stayed near the top of the power forward conversation for nearly 20 years. They were both franchise players, leaders on defense, and fixated on winning. Fans often painted them as complete opposites, but Garnett never saw it that way. In his autobiography, Garnett wrote, "Timmy is Mr. Hyde to my Dr. Jekyll. We were more similar than we were different. The surface differences were obvious." Garnett skipped college and jumped straight into the NBA at 19. Duncan stayed 4 full years at Wake Forest and came in as a polished, mature rookie. Garnett thrived on emotion and energy. Duncan was reserved and rarely showed anything outside of discipline and control. They both built their reputations on loyalty and hard work. Garnett spent 12 years in Minnesota before chasing a title. Duncan never left San Antonio. Neither of them chased the spotlight, but both were obsessed with figuring out the game and mastering every part of it. Garnett had real respect for Duncan's footwork and post moves. He called Duncan's baby hook and jab step a nightmare to defend. He knew what was coming but couldn't always stop it. They kept getting compared because they stayed great for so long. Whether or not they spoke often or got along didn't matter. For most of their careers, they were stuck with each other as the benchmark. On May 9, 1999, the Spurs opened their playoff series against the Timberwolves. It was Game 1, and it happened to fall on Mother's Day. Duncan led San Antonio to a comfortable win, but that game would be remembered for something far worse than the scoreboard. Duncan's mother died of cancer when he was still a kid. He was 14 years old. He later stayed 4 years at Wake Forest, in part to honor her wish that he get a college degree. During the game, Garnett turned to Duncan and said, "Happy Mother's Day." Duncan didn't say anything back. He didn't show anger or retaliate on the court. But his teammates noticed the shift, and so did the coaching staff. That line wasn't ordinary trash talk. It crossed a boundary Duncan never treated lightly. Garnett already had a reputation for pushing limits. He wasn't just loud during games. He studied opponents, figured out what could shake them, and went there. If it involved family, loss, or personal history, he didn't hold back. Duncan never confronted him after the game and never addressed it publicly. But according to people close to both men, he never let it go. Any respect that may have existed disappeared that day. When asked who was the player he hated going against the most during a All the Smoke podcast interview, Garnett said something a lot of old school NBA fans already knew.
Believe it or not, y'all, Tim Duncan.
It had less to do with Duncan's stats and more with how he handled Garnett's intensity. Duncan refused to play along. He didn't jaw back, didn't get rattled, and never raised his voice. Instead, he responded with short, flat phrases that left nothing to work with.
Timmy will hit you in phrases. Got you. Ooh, almost.
That wasn't the only one. Garnett recalled another line that got under his skin.
Just the worst right here. Nice try.
Garnett admitted that Duncan's silence and restraint became a kind of psychological warfare. Most players got shaken by Garnett's trash talk. Duncan didn't flinch. He locked in and used it as fuel, which only made him harder to deal with. Malik Rose once explained that the worst thing anyone could do was get Duncan angry. When that happened, he didn't yell or show it. He just took over the game. The numbers told the same story. Duncan finished with a 44-17 career record against Garnett's teams, including playoff matchups. He averaged just under 20 points and pulled down more than 11 rebounds in those games. Every win chipped away at Garnett, and the frustration only grew. Years later, Duncan was asked if there was any sense of rivalry or mutual respect between him and Garnett, similar to what Magic Johnson and Larry Bird had in their era. Duncan didn't entertain the idea. When the reporter used the word kinship, Duncan simply replied, "Define kinship." The next player on Garnett's list didn't need to say much either. Ray Allen simply made one decision, and that was enough for Garnett. In 2007, Boston traded for Ray Allen. That move set everything in motion. Garnett had been reluctant to leave Minnesota, but once Allen signed on, he agreed to join, and the Celtics had their big three of Garnett, Allen, and Paul Pierce. The group paid off immediately. In their first season together, they won the 2008 championship and brought the franchise its first title since the Larry Bird era. That run cemented their legacy in Boston and reshaped the league. Garnett and Allen weren't just teammates. They had history going back to their teenage years. Both played in the same high school All-American circuits and entered the NBA in the mid-90s, though Garnett went straight from high school while Allen played 3 years at UConn. That early connection helped build a strong foundation of mutual respect before they ever joined forces in Boston. They stayed in the mix for years. Boston returned to the finals in 2010 and took LeBron's Heat to 7 games in the 2012 Eastern Conference Finals. Even when they didn't win at all, they were one of the most respected cores in the league. By the end of their run, the relationship between Allen and the other two started to slip. They kept it professional on the court, but behind the scenes, tension was building. In 2012, Ray Allen turned down Boston's contract offer and signed with the Miami Heat. He took less money to join the team that had just knocked the Celtics out of the playoffs. That single move ended his relationship with Garnett. During an interview with Garnett, Stephen A. Smith perfectly described KG's feelings on Ray Allen in one simple sentence.
He's the enemy because he went to the enemy.
Garnett could do nothing but agree with Stephen A.
You're unquestionably white, and I agree with everything you said.
To Garnett, the league wasn't just about teams and trades.
We was in a real-life gang-banging league.
He didn't hide how personal the decision felt.
I took that so personal.
What pushed him over the edge wasn't just the signing, it was who Allen signed with.
You went to the one team you knew that we were beefing with.
According to Garnett, Allen had already been scouting homes in Miami during their playoff series against the Heat. That, to him, showed Allen had made his decision before the season ended. Allen didn't fight back. He said he didn't hold anything against anyone and focused on what the group built in Boston. He also admitted the move disappointed his teammates. The backlash from fans made it even worse. Boston felt betrayed, and Garnett never forgave it. For nearly a decade, Garnett refused to speak to Ray Allen. He wouldn't shake his hand, wouldn't acknowledge him at events, and told reporters he had lost his number. The grudge wasn't subtle. It became part of Garnett's public identity after his playing career. When Paul Pierce had his jersey retired in 2018, Allen wasn't there. Some fans assumed he skipped it out of spite. Allen later clarified he wasn't invited and had already committed to an event in Los Angeles. At the time, the silence between him and Garnett still hadn't broken. That changed in 2022. Allen showed up to Garnett's jersey retirement ceremony in Boston. Nobody knew if Garnett would say anything, but during the event, he spotted Allen in the crowd and motioned for him to come forward. The two embraced in front of the entire arena. Ray Allen later described the moment as unexpected but meaningful. He didn't hesitate when Garnett called him forward. Whatever tension had lingered was finally broken in front of the crowd that once cheered them as champions. Garnett explained afterward that losing Kobe Bryant changed his outlook. The idea of something happening to Allen without making peace stayed in his head. That shift in perspective opened the door to reconciliation. Not long after, Garnett, Allen, and Pierce appeared side by side in the NBA's 75th anniversary photo. All three were smiling. It was the first time in years they had stood together in public without tension, and it signaled the end of the feud without needing any formal announcement. Garnett downplayed it in later interviews. He said he had moved on and wished the best to everyone he played with. He made it clear that time had changed how he viewed old rivalries, not just with Allen but across the board. Allen never walked back his decision to join Miami. He framed it as a business choice and stayed consistent on that point. But the fallout from it made clear how personal things had become. For that Celtics team, loyalty wasn't a marketing slogan, it was lived every day. If you played on a different squad back then, as far as Garnett was concerned, you had a target on your back. And no one had a bigger target than Joakim Noah. Noah didn't come into the league looking for a fight. He came in with respect. Growing up, he idolized Kevin Garnett. He studied his game and tried to model his own intensity, versatility, and effort after what he saw from KG on both ends of the floor. As a kid, he had Garnett's jersey and posters on his wall. He wasn't quiet about it either.
When I was growing up, I used to have a poster in my room.
That admiration followed him into his playing career.
Joakim Noah was like a big fan of KG.
By the time Noah became a top college prospect and entered the league as a lottery pick in 2007, Garnett's impact was already baked into his approach. He mentioned Garnett regularly as one of the players who shaped his mindset. That same summer, Garnett left Minnesota and landed in Boston. Noah was drafted by the Bulls. What could have been a friendly overlap between idol and admirer turned into something else. Garnett was now in the same conference. Noah was playing the same position.
And I know he was talking. How was that?
Crazy.
He tried to speak to Garnett during a game, thinking it might lead to a genuine moment between idol and admirer.
You know, he was very mean to me my rookie year.
Instead, Garnett responded with open contempt.
Say, yo, dog, get off my nuts.
Paul Pierce later confirmed the exchange happened, but said Garnett's wording was even harsher than what Noah repeated publicly.
He didn't say it like that. He said it a lot harder than that.
From that moment on, Garnett treated Noah with nothing but ridicule. He mocked his appearance, made fun of his long hair, and dismissed him during in-game exchanges. There was no mutual respect. Garnett saw him as a rookie and treated him like one. Their run-ins got physical the following season. Garnett elbowed Noah during a game, and the relationship fully deteriorated. Noah's frustration turned into disgust. He aired it out after the game. In a later interview, Noah would say, "Kevin Garnett will not get a Christmas gift from me. I don't like him. Mean guy. Ugly too." Noah continued calling out Garnett in interviews, especially after Garnett was ejected for elbowing Quentin Richardson in 2010. He called KG a dirty player and said everyone in the league knew it. Garnett didn't respond directly. When asked about Noah's comments, he shrugged them off with a line that made no sense but ended the conversation. Their games became personal. Technicals were constant, and each matchup brought more tension. Garnett kept jawing, and Noah started provoking him every chance he got. Whatever respect Noah once had was long gone. As their careers wound down, the edge started to come off. Noah no longer seemed bothered by Garnett's antics. He still competed hard, but the anger had faded. By that point, it was clear the two had shared too many battles for the old tension to carry the same weight. In 2013, both were selected as All-Stars for the Eastern Conference. For the first time, they shared a bench instead of going at each other. That weekend, the tone shifted. The long-standing grudge finally gave way to mutual respect. Garnett still had his moments during the Nets years. He once grabbed Noah's hand and pretended to bite it during a game. But Noah didn't react. He played through it and moved on. The feud had lost its fire. Years later, Garnett invited Noah to appear on his show, KG Certified. The two sat down to talk openly about everything that had happened. Garnett began by apologizing.
I come today and I say, I apologize for killing that light, my brother.
He admitted that during his playing days, he stayed locked in and treated everyone like a threat. He said he hadn't realized how much Noah had admired him coming up. Noah accepted the apology and made it clear there was no lingering bitterness. What started as admiration turned into tension and finally settled into respect. Garnett came to understand that Noah hadn't come at him out of disrespect. He just wanted to measure himself against someone he grew up watching. The next player we'll talk about definitely meant disrespect when he confronted and punched Kevin right in the jaw, even though he considered him a friend. Let's talk about Anthony Peeler. Peeler came into the league in 1992 with the Lakers. He was a talented scorer, but early off-court issues and roster instability slowed his growth. After bouncing from Los Angeles to Vancouver, he landed in Minnesota in 1997. That's where his career finally settled. Peeler stayed with the Timberwolves through the 2002-03 season. He was never the first option on offense, but he carved out a key role as a shooter and physical guard who could hold his own. Garnett was rising into his prime, and Peeler gave the team a steady veteran with playoff experience and confidence. In the 1998 playoffs, Peeler stepped up in a big way. He led Minnesota in scoring against Seattle, averaging over 16 points per game and hitting nearly half of his threes. That performance earned Garnett's respect. It also helped cement Peeler's place as more than just a role player. Peeler wasn't shy. He played hard, wasn't afraid to take big shots, and brought toughness to the backcourt. Garnett valued all of it. Over the next 6 years, the two built a strong bond. They shared leadership duties, challenged each other in practice, and were known for setting the tone in the locker room. In 2003, Peeler signed with the Sacramento Kings. He was no longer a starter, but his role mattered. He came off the bench, spaced the floor, and led the entire league in three-point percentage that season. Sacramento leaned on his shooting and experience during the playoffs. Then came Game 6 of the Western Conference semifinals. The Kings were facing Garnett's Timberwolves, and the series was getting tense.
How about the run-in between Garnett and Peeler?
During the second half, Peeler elbowed Garnett.
Garnett is down. Garnett in backcourt.
Garnett responded with one of his own. Peeler came back with a left-handed punch that caught Garnett in the jaw.
A lot of agony, and Peeler goes after him.
Peeler later said he was retaliating. After the game, he would say to the reporters, "It was retaliation after he hit me with an elbow. It's always the guy that responds that gets suspended."
Garnett threw an elbow at Peeler first, and then Peeler responded.
Garnett seemed disappointed more than angry, saying, "I'm surprised that it was a little dirty. I played with him a couple of years, so I know what kind of player he is." The league stepped in quickly. Peeler was suspended for Game 7 and for the first game of the following season. Garnett was fined but allowed to play. Sacramento's players were stunned by the whole thing. Peeler reportedly laughed off the moment after the game, but Garnett didn't. Heading into Game 7, he told reporters exactly where his head was, saying, "I'm loading up the pump, I'm loading up the Uzi, I got a couple M16s, I'm ready for war." Then he backed it up. Garnett put up 32 points, 21 rebounds, 5 blocks, and 4 steals. The Kings struggled without Peeler, and Minnesota advanced to the conference finals for the first time in franchise history. After the season, Peeler said he still considered Garnett a friend. He didn't deny the punch, but explained that during the playoffs, backing down wasn't an option. He saw it as a response to physical play, not a personal attack. Unlike other Garnett feuds, this one never resurfaced. Neither player brought it up in interviews. There were no follow-up stories, no public attempts at resolution. Whatever was said between them stayed private, if anything was said at all. Peeler didn't show any regret. He framed it as something that happened in the heat of competition. From his perspective, Garnett pushed and he pushed back. That was the end of it. Garnett never revisited the incident either. He never brought it up in his own show, retrospectives, or post-retirement interviews. For someone who usually responded to criticism or rivalries, the silence stood out. What made the moment different was the history between them. This wasn't just another opponent. Peeler had been a teammate and a friend. That punch came from someone who had shared the locker room with him for 6 years. Peeler's absence in Game 7 hurt Sacramento. They needed his shooting and his defense, and without him, the rotation fell apart late in the game. While the Kings fell apart without Peeler, that conflict ended without much noise afterward. When it came to LeBron James, the tension with KG stretched across multiple teams, playoff series, and interviews long after both had moved on. When LeBron James entered the league in 2003, Garnett was already an MVP candidate and seen as one of the 5 best players in the game. He had been through deep playoff runs, all-star seasons, and contract wars. He saw LeBron as talented but unproven. Garnett referred to him as the little homie and talked about how fast his game developed. He saw the athleticism and the potential early, but didn't offer deference. Garnett's approach in those matchups was to press LeBron physically, talk to him constantly, and see how he handled pressure. Those early games weren't friendly. Garnett bumped him, leaned on him, and tested him. He later said he spoke to LeBron harshly, and LeBron responded in kind. It wasn't all anger, but it wasn't lighthearted either. They both understood the stakes. Even with all the trash talk, Garnett acknowledged how fast LeBron was changing the league. He didn't pretend not to notice. He called out the strength, speed, and court vision and admitted that every year LeBron added something new. There was rivalry in those moments, but there was also recognition. When Garnett joined the Celtics in 2007, the rivalry with LeBron shifted. Boston's defense became one of the toughest in the league, and Garnett set the tone. Alongside Paul Pierce and Ray Allen, he helped turn the Celtics into a physical, veteran group built to grind opponents down. LeBron became one of their primary targets. In 2008 and 2010, Boston knocked Cleveland out of the playoffs. Both series were hard-fought, but Garnett's team had the edge. After the 2010 win, Garnett gave a blunt assessment of where things stood.
We didn't fear LeBron, and we didn't think that he can beat all 5 of us.
He didn't hold back. Garnett said the Celtics had broken LeBron mentally.
We broke LeBron.
He believed Boston's chemistry, toughness, and execution had exposed a weakness in LeBron's approach. When LeBron left Cleveland for Miami that summer, Garnett didn't frame it as a power move.
You understand how he got to Cleveland, how he got to Miami, Bill? Remember
That's
that?
true. You broke him in
Okay, so remember
2010.
that.
He saw it as a retreat.
He was trying to consolidate because he didn't want the pressure on him.
The rise of the Heat hit hard in Boston. The Celtics never got back to the top. Their window closed fast, and Miami's success only made it worse. Garnett made no effort to hide the resentment. In 2012, the rivalry reached its peak in the Eastern Conference Finals. Boston led the series 32 heading into Game 6. Then LeBron answered. He dropped 45 points on the road and eliminated the Celtics in Game 7. Garnett didn't speak much after the loss, but the moment stuck. The rivalry had flipped. Even after both players retired, Garnett kept the rivalry going. He didn't ignore LeBron's accomplishments. In a 2021 interview, he acknowledged that LeBron had carried the league for years and praised his ability to maintain a high level of play over such a long stretch. He called it a great job and gave credit where it was due, but the recognition didn't come without a jab. On his podcast with Paul Pierce, when talking about LeBron's son potentially being more athletic and explosive, Garnett sounded like he was accusing LeBron of using performance-enhancing drugs.
You seen his dad? His dad on that balcony, he on that new juice.
The claim had no evidence behind it. The claim maybe wasn't even a claim, but that a joke that landed kinda awkwardly. LeBron didn't respond, but the accusation reignited old discussions about Garnett's resentment. It stood out because Garnett didn't speak that way about everyone. He respected Kobe. He honored Tim Duncan. But with LeBron, something remained unsettled. The losses to Miami, especially in 2012, still seemed to bother him. The rivalry never cooled off, even when the game stopped. There was never a moment of resolution, no formal conversation, no gesture of closure. The tension between Garnett and LeBron became one of the longest-running storylines of the post-Jordan era, and neither side has made a move to end it. In the first place, we have someone you probably thought about as soon as you clicked on this video, and that's Carmelo Anthony. The feud started on January 7, 2013, during a regular season game between the Knicks and Celtics. From the opening whistle, Garnett and Carmelo kept jawing at each other, and by the fourth quarter, it turned personal.
He's talking to the floor.
He said mellow.
The two battled for position, exchanged words after nearly every possession, and the tension kept rising. Then something shifted. Garnett said something that clearly crossed the line. Carmelo's entire demeanor changed. He stopped responding during the game and instead told Garnett directly that he'd meet him after. Then he followed through. Carmelo waited for Garnett near the Celtics locker room. When security moved him away, he waited again by the team bus outside Madison Square Garden. No punches were thrown, but the intent was obvious.
Melo, over basketball.
This wasn't normal behavior for Carmelo. While he had a few scuffles, he had the ability to stay composed, even during tense games. The fact that he reacted that strongly showed how personal the remark had been. Whatever Garnett said during that fourth quarter didn't just touch a nerve. It hit something Carmelo couldn't ignore. The league gave him a one-game suspension. The media ran with the story, speculating on what Garnett had said and how far the trash talk went. Neither player confirmed the details, but everyone agreed it crossed a line. The moment Garnett and Carmelo were pulled apart, the rumors started flying. Within hours, social media had locked in on one theory. Fans and blogs claimed Garnett told Carmelo that his wife tastes like Honey Nut Cheerios. The line spread fast and stuck in the minds of NBA fans till this day. Both Carmelo and Lala denied it outright. They said the phrase was never used. But once the story gained traction, the truth didn't matter. It became attached to the incident and followed both players for years. The speculation didn't stop there. Players, commentators, and reporters all tried to figure out what Garnett actually said. The level of Carmelo's reaction told people it was serious, and the lack of details only added fuel to the fire. Carmelo refused to give specifics. He said Garnett had crossed the line, but didn't share what was said.
He told me some wild shit that we don't speak about.
Garnett pushed back quietly. He claimed it was just trash talk and denied crossing into personal or family territory. He said he stuck to basketball and nothing more. But the story never faded. Whether it was true or not, the damage was already done. Years later, both players were still being asked about the incident. Neither ever confirmed what was said, which kept the story alive. Fans continued to speculate, and the lack of clarity turned the moment into one of the NBA's most infamous mysteries. Carmelo addressed it during a sneaker launch, playing it off with a laugh. He avoided specifics and said he and Garnett had talked privately and moved on. He didn't sound bitter, but he also didn't give any details. The line had become a joke to some, but the tension at the time had been real. Garnett, in later interviews, insisted he never disrespected someone's family. He said the rumor made him look worse than what actually happened, and hinted that people ran with a version of the story that didn't match reality. Lala confirmed the Cheerios rumor was false in her book.
Who would think to say, oh, your wife tastes like honey? I mean, he didn't say that.
But she didn't let Garnett off the hook entirely. She said he said something Carmelo didn't take lightly and made it clear the comment broke whatever respect had existed before.
He just said some disrespectful things that my husband didn't like.
The confrontation only lasted a day, but the fallout lasted years. It became one of the most talked about moments of Garnett's career. Kevin Garnett clashed with a lot of players, but these 7 feuds stood out for how personal, intense, and unforgettable they became. Whether it was betrayal, trash talk, or pride, Garnett never backed down. Which rivalry surprised you the most? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more NBA stories like this.